What's going on, everybody? In my last two videos, I wanted you guys to keep in mind a couple parts for this video, and these are right here. I wanted you to keep in mind the fuel rails, my turbo inlet, my TGV deletes, the composite ones, and these are parts that are going to go into my, or were going to go into my next build. And I also wanted you to keep in mind my OEM 2007 STI stock intake manifold, which, if you recall, looks like this. It's red, and it's pretty darn hard to see down in there, but it goes down a little ways and then it cuts off, and then you have the tumblers underneath it, and then the tumblers sit in between the actual manifold and the motor and the top of the heads where the exhaust goes into, or the intake, what do you want to call it, fuel air. So yep, and these are actually good. I'm not trying to diss these in any way. These are good. These stock ones are good for, like, I don't know, 500 plus horsepower. It just depends on the quality of your car and how well you take care of it and how you tune it, what you build it with, and what you're going for. So yeah, that's the OEM intake manifold. The reason why I brought up these things is because I was going to use the stock intake manifold and these parts, and then last second I was hanging with my mechanic and I was looking at another motor that he was building, and I decided, shoot, I'm already into this build quite a bit, might as well just do that little extra mile. I mean, it's not too bad. So instead of these Kinaga fuel rails, yikes, those fell, I will be using these Outfront Motorsports. If you notice, the quality is pretty much the same. Like I said, these Kinagawas, you can see these on eBay and they look like they're garbage, but they're actually really good quality in my opinion. All one solid piece. These are two, because this is basically a spacer. So if you compare the two, see, there's a difference, a bit of difference, which is unfortunate because I would like to run these, but I think these are rated up to like 1,000 horsepower or something like that. Don't quote me, but they're supposed to be for very high power. So, and it actually is two-piece. Actually, I put it together, so it holds like the spacer on there. And then these actually are what bolt onto the manifold. So I had to use these two. Okay, now time for the manifold. Hello. This is what I bought. Looks like a giant spider. This, my friends, is a NA 2.5i Longrunner turbo, or not turbo, intake manifold. And the reason why I call it Longrunner is because this is all one piece. On the one I just showed you, my stock intake manifold, obviously it's not this huge, but and also I think the legs are a little more flatter. Like when the air goes in, it kind of goes in a more curved, natural flow, whereas the other one kind of hits a wall and goes this way, left and right. But on the other one, the red intake manifold on my car right now usually stops about here, and then you have the TGVs, the tumblers that are underneath, in between the block and the actual intake, and those have like a valve in it, like a butterfly valve that opens and shuts, and it's got hardware inside, so it's, you know, restriction for the flow. And so I was gonna replace those with these. And these, you can see they're already ported out and everything. And these, because of the material they're made of, less chance that heat will travel from the motor block through these up into the intake. Because, as you know, with cars, in particular turbo cars, one of the things that we're trying to do to make more power and for it to run better is for it to generate less heat. Because the turbo makes a lot of heat, and you know, just the way you run it hard, it makes a lot of heat, and you know, that can create heat soak. So you know, your air intake's sucking in hot air, and then it's going into your intake manifold, and then fuel's adding with it, and it's a big mess, you know. So one advantage my car has, the way it's set up, is I have methanol water injection, so that adds in right before it goes into here, before it spreads, before it gets injected with gas, so it's already cooler. But I was going to add these, and it would make the air even cooler, because it goes through my my front mount intercooler, which cools the air, and then it gets sucked in through here, goes through here, adds with the fuel and the methanol and water, and then it goes into my actual engine. So you know, all that helps. So I was gonna run these, and I was gonna run these. Yeah. See, and they match up perfect. But I'm ditching that idea. This just needs to be like finished, and I think I'm gonna anodize it red. I didn't realize that Outfront Motorsports, like, I didn't realize the extent of how much they cleaned it up. See, all these things that are weird looking, they actually shaved off excess stuff on here. So I mean, it looks like it's pretty much ready to bolt on. I mean, I need to run it by my mechanic. I don't know if there's any other modding. I'm not sure if the throttle body will fit directly onto it. There's even like a piece inside. I don't know if I need to get rid of that or not. And then they like put a plug. So this is all new territory for me. But see, it's completely empty. I'm sure we can do some more porting. But this is like the raw version of it, the raw metal. So it is going to get cleaned up and all that and ready to go. Dang. And then if I bolt it on my car directly, if I don't reverse it, this is pretty much what it's going to look like. You know, you look at it from top, which I think it looks better that way. In order to run these, if you want to reverse the intake, you need to be able to mount the alternator, the power steering, the AC into different places so that it'll fit. And then you have to run piping a certain way. And my mechanic actually created a plate, like an adapter plate. It's kind of like a kit. It bolts right on, and then you just bolt everything into place, and then it works. But the only downside to where I may not be able to run that setup is that I don't have a rotated turbo. Because if you were to mount it like this, the turbo needs to be rotated so you can run the pipe to the side. And then, you know, because otherwise it would be facing this way, which I was thinking we could do that and then just run a custom-made pipe here. But I don't know. I need to run it by him. This actually just came in right now, so yeah. And then I wanted to show you, the injectors go there, it hooks up right there. So these have to have certain fuel rails in order to fit, because it has to clear. And then unfortunately the phenolic spacers haven't come yet, but I'm going to run that with this. And the phenolic spacers basically do what these were going to do, is keep heat from transferring from the motor to these parts, so that, you know, the air stays as cool as it can possibly be. And I mean, you can look it up if you want, but if not, the phenolic spacers are basically, they're shaped just like the outline right here. It's a piece that's about almost a millimeter. It's 19 millimeters. It's almost like an inch thick, I think. I think it's almost an inch, right? Like 3/4. So it's only like that thick. And it's like a gasket, basically, and it fits in between this and the block. So imagine this being like 19 millimeters thicker, and then it's going to sit right on top of my motor. And then there's also going to be, I also ordered actual gaskets to fit on either side of the phenolic spacers. So 2 for each side. So 4 total, 2 phenolic spacers, 2 fuel rails, and then, you know, put the throttle body on here, bolt it on, have some fun. So yeah, this thing is pretty nice. I love it. And then I think we're probably going to put the methanol nozzle right here, directly in like that. So when air's coming in, it'll be spraying this way, and then it'll like mix inside, and it'll evenly disperse throughout the runners. Yep. And this is supposed to be really good. I mean, you can run this thing for, I don't know, 1,000 horsepower. Like, it should be able to meet whatever needs that you need to be met. So the good fuel rails that fit. Got rid of the TGVs and got these Longrunners. Big plenum. And then runners that flow pretty good. Yeah. Oh, and in case you want to know, this is all from Outfront Motorsports. The fuel rails were 160 for both of them. And then the actual 2.5i Longrunner intake manifold for the Subaru STI was, I think it was like $310, and then the actual shipping was $40. So they just told me over the internet $350 for this and $160. But either way, the total was like, I think $510, and money well spent. I mean, this thing flows as much, if not more, than a Cosworth intake manifold, and it costs like a third of the price. Because the Cosworth is what, like $1,000, $1,200? It's just $310. But I mean, I do have to clean it up. They've done a lot, but I need to possibly clean it up some more. I want to get an anodized red, and that also helps. It also puts like a protective barrier on it. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much that. Oh yeah, and then because that's the deletes, the intake, the rails, and then this. From what my mechanic said, because we're running a bigger intake and because there's a lot more room, you can just take a pipe and just do custom piping, and it'll be bigger than that 3-inch turbo inlet, like 4 inches or 5 or whatever will fit. However, we're going to route it, and then he can weld the little MAF housing on there so we can put the MAF sensor. Yeah. Alright, now, like I was saying before, I wanted to show you my 3 Subarus in the garage, and I didn't want to like give it away or whatever, but I want to show you the differences in the intake manifolds. So we'll check that out. Alright. And this is, to me, this is pretty interesting actually. Kind of ticks me off a little bit, but whatever. Okie dokie. Alright, you've already seen this, right? The STI 07 intake manifold. It's kind of hard to show you, but again, there's 2 parts to it. The red part, it ends right there. I really wish I had a better angle to show you, but take my word for it, there's 2 pieces. You have the piece with the tumblers, which is basically like the composite TGV deletes, but with TGVs in them. And then you have the actual intake manifold. Yeah, yeah, there's not going to be a good shot. There's too much fueling and stuff in the way, but yeah, so that's 2 pieces. And then we'll go over to my dad's car, which is a 2000, I think it's also 2007 like mine, but it's a Outback sedan, which I love the suspension on it, by the way. And this one, see, it looks pretty familiar, doesn't it? It's the big plenum, the NA big plenum intake manifold, but the difference being that this is what they call a short runner. So it's like mine, but it's the big plenum NA intake instead of the STI intake. And then it also has a section for the TGV delete, well, the TGVs. See? So you have the actual intake, and then you bolt it to that piece, and then it bolts to the block. But it kind of pisses me off that this car, considering it's not turbo or anything, comes with that awesome intake, because I could have used that too if I wanted. I mean, I could have just used the composite deletes and hooked it up to the short runner, and it still would have been good. Not as good, but, you know, if it already came with that, that would have been sick. So yeah, this is my dad's car. Now, my mom's car. 2009 Outback crossover. this really pisses me off. This is basically the exact intake I just got for $310. Big Plenum NA Longrunner. Don't you just freaking hate it? So my mom's been sitting on this thing all this time. She never knew. Hell, I never knew. That's what a lot of these little bolt holes are for. Because it's for an NA setup. Yeah. And what's cool about the NA Longrunner intake manifold is that it's an actual Subaru made part. It's not an aftermarket. It's just they use it on other cars, which I wish they'd use it on the freaking STI, man, because if you imagine this thing in red and it already comes with it, it'd be beast. So I'm basically bolting this onto my car pretty much. Except mine's going to be refinished. So I guess the finish that mine came in is basically what it normally comes in. But I mean, mine's going to be like smoother and all that once it's done. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that. So NA short runner on the 07 sedan, NA long runner on the 09 crossover, both Outbacks, both Subaru, and then on mine I get stuck with the little midgety STI short runner intake manifold stock. Yeah. Alright, well, that pretty much ends what I wanted to say. I'll be running that NA Longrunner. If it needs it, it'll be ported out, polished. It's definitely going to get anodized or get some type of protective coating. I'm going to try to get it red. So it'll be red, and then the fuel rails will be black. And then a lot of my little accent stuff, my valve covers, the center timing cover will be red. Outside timing covers will be clear. A lot of these reservoirs will be chrome colored. My turbo will also be chrome. The heat housing on the rear will have that red turbo blanket. Stainless steel, was it 6AN steel braided fuel lines? I have no color what it'll be. These, I think I'm going to get, my mechanic has a set of they're black nylon woven with steel in them. 300 PSI test, so way more than you'll ever see. I think we're going to run those on this, so it'll be a lot cleaner and neater. If I can, if it's possible, I will go rotated intake manifold. As I said before, I'm already like getting into this build big time. Might as well just go big, right? And we're going to make custom piping regardless of if I go stock location or reverse it. And reversing, it's not hard. It's relocating, you know, the alternator, you know, and the other stuff, power steering, the AC, because you have to make it fit. But my mechanic created a bracket that has all the mounting stuff on it, so you literally just bolt it up. But the person he made it for, and he made extras just in case, so you know he can sell it to other people or whatever. Because most of the time when you reverse it, that's the problem people run into, and you know they don't have the means to custom fabricate stuff. But anyways, this other person's build, he has a rotated frickin', was it 62, 66 precision, and I think he's going to go bigger or something, I don't know, but the turbo is rotated, so you don't have to worry about the turbo inlet, you don't have to worry about all this other crap. He can just route it over here. Mine is going to be stock location, so the turbo is going to be situated right there, and with the bigger NA runner, I should be able to fit a fatter pipe, and then he can just custom weld this housing piece for the MAF on there, and I can put the MAF, and then we can probably have the intake go all the way to the wall. Yeah, so yeah, that's my plan. Again, when I went to him, when I thought I had everything originally, I was like 10th or 11th in line, so you know, I'm not expecting to get it done like tomorrow, but the longer I wait, the more I learn. We actually learned some things about the 07 STIs and fuel pumps, so hopefully we won't run into any problems when we do my build finally. And you know, he's learned more. I mean, he knows a hell of a lot, but just little things here and there. He's been just learning about tuning and all that as he's gone on doing all these cars. So, you know, he's like me. He's never constantly learning, you know, never settling, never thinking you're the best or whatever. So, you know, all that knowledge and all that experience will go into my build when it's time, and hopefully it'll be a super smooth, easy build that's pretty highly customized, and it'll be solid. And like I said before, power-wise, I'm hoping for 450 to 500 range, but I am keeping in mind that I am only going to run 91 octane and methanol water injection. That I want to try to keep it in between, like a conservative to a mild tune. I don't want to go full out. I don't want to blow the motor. This is my daily driver. I do drive this thing year-round. It may be all-wheel drive, but I absolutely hate driving in the snow and rain. I don't know. I don't like it. Like, cars are made to be able to do it, but I don't think they're made specifically for it, you know? Like, the tires are meant to grip dry asphalt and pavement, not frickin' snow. Otherwise, you know, put chains on it or whatever. But, again, you know, I need to keep in mind, like, every aspect when we do the tune. So that will basically decide the outcome of the power. And like my mechanic was telling me, it's not always necessarily about the horsepower. You know, in the end, I may only hit 450 to the wheels, but if I lined up next to a 540 STI and we're doing a roll, when we get on it, I could probably destroy that person, because in order to hit that 540 mark, more than likely they had to put a huge turbo on there, which creates lag. And, you know, as we all know, lag sucks. So while they're stomping on that pedal, waiting and waiting, my car will be zipping on by already. And if this is like a quarter-mile race, I'll hit the finish line before they can catch up. So, you know, there's, like, strategy involved. It's not just about, you know, oh, I got 1,000 horsepower. I mean, if you do, that's amazing, but it's not just about the numbers. It's about the actual, like, about how it actually drives, how it handles. You know, that's one thing I really like about going to Andy, and about his tunes, and about his philosophy. No matter what he tunes, no matter how much power, if the car doesn't get at least 23 miles to the gallon, at least, a minimum at least, he's not satisfied. And if you lose control because you gain more power, again, he's not satisfied. You know, he's one of those people that he doesn't just do the work, take the money, and then totally forgets about you. I mean, if you leave the shop and you kill yourself, he cares, you know. So the tune will be looked at from every angle, and the thing will be just solid no matter what number it hits. Yeah. Alright, well, that's finally it. Any questions, any comments, any hates, likes, whatever, write it down, message me, let me know. Times will get more exciting. I mean, I've always said it before, I'm going to say it again now. I think I finally have everything. I think. I don't know. I think. Alright, catch you guys later.